Shout out to Steven Taylor for 12 months of being part of the Gormy Legion. What's going on, everybody? Recently, I put out a poll here on YouTube as to what kind of manager would you want to see a tactical masterclass on next in the tactical masterclasses I've been doing here on the channel. And it was pretty clear which one you guys wanted. So today, we're going over Jose Mourinho's Chelsea side. So, with the Tactical Masterclass today, we are going to be going over Jose Mourinho's 4-3-3 and 4-4-2 that he implemented with Chelsea. The 4-3-3 NFM is going to be the Jose Mourinho 4-3-3. The 4-4-2, however, it's going to have aspects of how Jose Mourinho did want them to play, certain roles and kind of how players are going to be acting and whatnot, but that is going to be more so the tactic that I have a heavy influence on. The 4-4-2 will be more attacking, the 4-3-3 will be more defensive. And the first one we're going over today is the 4-3-3. You can see here on screen right now that I essentially have the side that he would use a majority of the time in the Premier League when he first came to Chelsea. Now, something about the 4-3-3 is that the 4-3-3 was not all too popular around this time in the Premier League. A lot of teams were using 4-4-2s, and it was a pretty, I will say, defensive league. That it wasn't super high scoring like it can be now. That goes with a lot of the leagues nowadays, but this 4-3-3 kind of shocked the league, and it was really hard for teams to play against and adapt to, and it took sides a little while to get used to playing against this 4-3-3. And I mean, props to Jose Mourinho and finding players like a Didier Drogba to come bring in that would make life very difficult for other Premier League clubs to kind of deal with, because Didier Drogba was a very dangerous threat in the side, but not just Didier Drogba. Frank Lampard was as well. He also had Arjen Robben. He also had Claude Makélélé, John Terry, who can forget Mr. Cole here, Petr Cech in net. I mean, the side was absolutely fantastic. Now, this 4-3-3, although it was defensive, they could still score a boatload of goals, especially, I mean, if you have a front three of Cole, Drogba, and Robben as well, and then you have late arriving players like Lampard or Thiago or even Michael Essien as well, it was a very potent system. But Claude Makélélé, I believe, and a lot of other people believe as well from doing research and whatnot on kind of this system, Claude Makélélé was one of the main reasons why this system works so well. He was a holding defensive midfielder. And in making this tactic, I wasn't sure, okay, how am I going to get this to work? Do I do it as an anchor? Do I do it as a halfback? Because how he would operate, say these fullbacks, which the fullbacks were not necessarily attacking fullbacks, they're supportive fullbacks, say they were to go on a run. Makélélé would then kind of come in and replace them, either or. He'd do either side, or he'd come down, drop down. You'd have Terry, Carvalho, and Cech, and they would move the ball about in this diamond. And it was a very, very, I guess, kind of secret weapon of the side, to where, okay, not only do you have to worry about this front three and the late arriving dangers of a Frank Lampard, but you also have to try and eliminate Claude Makélélé. But sides would try and do that, in being that a lot of sides would play a 4-4-2, but you would sometimes see a 4-4-2 kind of lined up like this to try and stop this 4-3-3. However, with the 4-3-3, you will have that defensive midfielder wide open a majority of the time, and it would work quite well. But also, one thing that would work quite well in this system was a long ball from Mr. Cech up to Didier Drogba. Drogba would then either bring it down for himself, or he would kind of flex the ball off to Lampard, to Thiago, to Arjen Robben, to a Cole. You would have not only Cole, but Arjen Robben, both being like inverted wingers. Not necessarily inside forwards, but wingers that would invert. So, inverted wingers. And it worked, once again, very, very well. But Lampard would kind of play as a box-to-box midfielder, as would Thiago. Now, this system is very, very solid. Not only defensively, but attacking as well. Because in attack, it could end up looking a little something like this, maybe a bit like this, potentially something a bit like this, or even something like this. But at times, it could be an all-out attack. Like you see here, everyone pushed up. There's one reason as to why it would end up like this, and it's not a huge majority of the time. It was kind of a minimal amount of the time. But one of the main reasons why you would see Terry and Carvalho pushed up so far sometimes is because Jose Mourinho kind of introduced a ball-playing defender mentality to center backs in England. And Terry and Carvalho were very, very good at doing it. So in going back to this diamond back here that Carvalho, Makelele, and Terry, as well as Cech, would all kind of pass about, it was very, very fluid due to not only Cech being a very good distributor of the ball, Makelele being a fantastic player, but Carvalho and Terry being ball-playing defenders. This side made life very difficult for Premier League sides. So with all that being said about the 4-3-3, I recreated it to the best of my ability within FM24. I unfortunately could not do it with Chelsea because they're just way too leaky and the side is nowhere near as good as it was under Jose Mourinho. So I went with a side that has a much stronger defense and that could help me recreate it to the best of my ability that Jose Mourinho did end up managing in the future. So I went with Inter Milan. And Inter Milan, with this 4-3-3, not only won the league, they won the Coppa Italia and the Supercoppa Italiana, and they won the league on 100 points with a 91 goal differential, only losing 2 games. Not only would they go on to lead the league in goals scored with 106, but they would also match what Jose Mourinho's side did defensively within that season with the 4-3-3. They would also have the most shots for, as well as the fewest shots against, highest dribbles, and they would also lead the way by a big margin with 26 clean sheets. When it comes to individual player production within this tactic, Lautaro Martinez led the way in goals with 35. Hakan would have 19. He kind of played that Frank Lampard role, the box-to-box midfielder. Marcus Thuram is one of the inverted wingers, had 18. Bastoni, thanks to set pieces, he had 18. Joaquin Correa is the other inverted winger, he had 14. But when it comes to the assists, a lot of players getting involved in the playmaking department. Hakan had 22, DeMarco with 20, Correa with 17, Turan, Barella, and Dumfries all with 10. And now before we get into the tactic itself, if you wish to give these tactics a go and download them, they're available to anyone who is a YouTube member or Twitch subscriber. If you wish to join, either will be linking both down below in the description. You get a boatload of perks and access to a members only section of the Discord, which you can download all these tactics from. But if you're not sure about becoming a YouTube member or Twitch subscriber just yet, please feel free, copy the tactic on over. I'll be going over all the roles and their instructions here momentarily. And especially for those of you on console, definitely feel free to copy it on over. Pause, rewind as many times as you need to. So with the 4-3-3, it is called Gormy's 4-3-3 Mourinho's special sauce. We've got a deep line forward on attack up top, as Didier Drogba would like to drop a bit deeper, and it actually works out pretty well for what that kind of long ball from the keeper to the deep line forward allows for. Unfortunately, Martinez is 5'9", so don't really get to see the kind of maximum output of what that does do, but in testing with Chelsea for a little bit with this system, it actually did perform pretty well with that long ball. We've got inverted wingers on attack out wide, box-to-box midfielders on support in central midfield, a halfback on defend and defensive midfield, fullbacks on support, 2 ball-playing defenders on defend, and a goalkeeper on defend. So, with our deep line forward on attack, we've got dribble more, shoot more often, and mark tighter. Both inverted wingers on attack have crosses aimed at center, shoot more often, and mark tighter. Both box-to-box midfielders on support have crosses aimed at center, dribble more, shoot more often, move into channels, and mark tighter. The halfback on defend will have mark tighter. Both fullbacks on support have cross from the byline, crosses aimed at center, dribble more, stay wider, mark tighter. Both ball-playing defenders on defend have dribble more and mark tighter, and the goalkeeper on defend is left as is. Mentality-wise, I did do it with a balanced mentality, however you can go positive or attacking if you wish to do so as well. So, when in possession, we have standard attacking width. We're playing out from the defense thanks to those ball-playing defenders. We are focusing play through the middle. There's a lot of numbers going through the middle at all times, and then we also are looking for overlaps on the left and right from our fullbacks. We work the ball into the box, low crosses in the final third, standard passing directness, and a slightly higher tempo. When in transition, we counter press and counter, and as you can see here, we distribute to the position of the striker by taking long kicks. If you don't know how to do that on your tactics, simply just click this drop down right here. You got distribute to area or player. This is kind of the generic screen that you usually see, but then you click on that, distribute to position, just select the striker, and that is where the ball is going to go. But now once we are out of possession, super simple instructions. We got a mid block, higher defensive line, and standard trigger press. So now that we've gone over the 4-3-3, let's go ahead and go over that 4-4-2. So here we are with the 4-4-2 of Jose Mourinho's, and you will notice one name change. Gudjonsson now comes into this lineup up there with Mr. Didier Drogba. Now, a lot of these roles kind of operate the same as they did in a 4-3-3. So, Petr Cech still looks for that long ball to Didier Drogba. Didier Drogba still kind of playing like a version of a deep line forward, but these wingers still inverting just like they were in the 4-3-3, with those fullbacks still doing their overlapping runs, joining the attack. You'll have Makelele still kind of operating in the role that he would do in the 4-3-3, as well as Lampard doing those kind of late arriving runs. Now, that is kind of how the exact Jose Mourinho 4-4-2 would end up operating. However, with my 4-4-2, with kind of the tweaks that I have introduced into this 4-4-2, it is a bit different. Not all too different, but definitely a bit different. So we'll have Didier Drogba being that deep line forward, but he'll be partnered with a more advanced forward. The inverted wingers still going to be inverting. We still got those fullbacks, still have the ball playing defenders. However, instead of having Makelele kind of drop down, be part of a back line, I wanted it to be a bit more attacking, because even though that 4-3-3 was defensive, they still did pretty darn good goal scoring wise. But with this system, I opted for double Segundo Volantes. I love Segundo Volantes in FM, love how that role operates, and I love how players that play that role in reality do play. So essentially, instead of having central midfielders a little bit further up, we will have them in defensive midfield. And they'll still be doing those late arriving runs. They're also playmakers. It is the best of both worlds, and that is why I wanted to make sure that we had two of them, because in that 4-3-3, we had two box-to-box midfielders. So I kind of wanted defensive midfielders operating a little bit the same way as well. So this time around with the 4-4-2, we did test with the Chelsea side, and they actually didn't do that bad. They were still leaky defensively, which definitely led to them not having great form at the end of the season. They could have won the league, but they did win the Conference League, and they also won the Carabao Cup. They got knocked out in the 5th round of the FA Cup, unfortunately, though. But when looking at the numbers, there were two things that I was trying to focus on, because I knew that they were going to be leaky defensively. I wanted them to lead the league in goals. They did that. They checked that box off. However, when it comes to goals, like I said, they'll be a little bit leaky. They're not as strong as the Inter side. They're not as strong as the Chelsea side under Jose Mourinho. But they still had 17 clean sheets. So I am happy with that. This is a side that is not as good as the Inter side, not as good as Jose Mourinho's original Chelsea side, but they still managed to have 17 clean sheets, so I'm definitely happy with that. Something else that I'm happy with is the production of the players. Christopher Nkunku played essentially every single game possible. He had 56 goals. He will be our deep line forward in this system. Nicholas Jackson had 22 goals. Wesley Fofana, thanks to set pieces just like with Bastoni, he had 20 goals. Cole Palmer, Madueke, both playing those inverted wingers. Cole Palmer with 20, Madueke with 19. Datro Fofana, used as a substitute a majority of the time, had 14 goals still. When we go to the assists, this is what I love. 4 players with 20 or more assists. Reece James with 27, Nkunku with 26, Palmer with 21, Cucurella with 20, Madueke had 14, and Caicedo, he ended up having 11. And real quickly, you're probably wondering, all right, where are the data hubs for both tactics? Well, I'm going to show you both at the same time. So, this is the one for the 4-4-2. You can definitely tell that this Chelsea side is way more leaky than not only the Jose Mourinho Chelsea side, but also Inter Milan. You're about to see a drastic difference in this area specifically. And then now here we have the 4-3-3 with Inter Milan. Drastic, and I mean drastic difference. And I think a lot of it is definitely down to Inter Milan just have better defensive players right now than Chelsea currently do in reality. But if we could essentially have some of the players from Chelsea with Inter Milan, both tactics would have been absolutely unbelievable, and both are unbelievable for sure, especially this 4-3-3 with Inter Milan. It was very, very good. And I mean, getting the exact goal amount conceded, I was aiming to beat it, but it got a little bit too difficult towards the end of testing with it. But I mean, overall, very, very happy with the 4-3-3 and 4-4-2. And now, of course, here we are with the 4-4-2. This is Gormy's 4-4-2 special sauce. We've got the deep line forward on attack still within this tactic, but partnered with an advanced forward on attack. The inverted wingers are now inverted wingers on support at right and left midfield. Double segundo volantes on support. The fullbacks are now on attack instead of defend. And then we have double ball-playing defenders on defend and a goalkeeper on defend. So we're looking at the deep line forward on attack. Has dribble more, shoot more often, mark tighter. The advanced forward on attack also has those same instructions of dribble more, shoot more often, mark tighter. The inverted wingers on support have crosses aimed at center, shoot more often, mark tighter. The segundo volantes on support have dribble more, shoot more often, move into channels, and mark tighter. The fullbacks on attack have cross from the byline, crosses aimed at center, dribble more, stay wider, mark tighter. Both ball-playing defenders on defend have dribble more, mark tighter. And the goalkeeper on defend is left as is. This tactic was tested on a balanced mentality. However, you can go positive or attacking. I would suggest going attacking because you're definitely going to get the best output from this tactic. But when it comes to in possession, we have standard attacking width, playing out from the defense once again, not playing through the middle. We are looking for those overlaps on the left and right once again though. We are working the ball into the box, low crosses in the final third, standard passing directness, and higher tempo. In transition, we look to counter press and counter by taking long kicks to the deep line forward, which in this case is the left striker. However you want to make up this tactic, if you want the deep line forward on the left or if you want it on the right, just make sure you are distributing to that deep line forward. Or honestly, whoever is the taller striker, that also works. Once out of possession, we have a mid-block line of engagement, higher defensive line, more often trigger press, and we are trapping to the outside. So there we have it for today's tactical masterclass with Jose Mourinho's Chelsea. Absolutely love Jose Mourinho. He is one of my favorite ever managers. Absolutely love whatever he ends up doing. Absolutely loved his work at Roma, Inter Milan, Porto, everywhere essentially. But I hope you guys also enjoyed today's video, and if you did and you wish to give these tactics a go, once again they are available to YouTube members or Twitch subscribers. I'll be linking links down below to join both. You get a boatload of perks such as access to the tactics as well as early access to videos. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely check it out down below in the description. But if you did enjoy today's video, please feel free, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribing is 100% free, so why not hit that sub button? Right now on screen will be popping up one of my more recent videos here on the channel if you do wish to check that out. But until next time, everyone, have a good one. Bye-bye.